Here we go again, you guys. Mad about the wrong damn thing. Black Americans seem to be very upset that President Trump wants to cut over $30 billion into housing Section 8, but they're not upset that the financial system is working them into a second slavery, as George Fraser puts it. We're going to look at what people should be upset about rather than being upset about the America First agenda trying to get people back into work, galvanized to take up their mantle. That's what we're going to talk about today, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Archie's Briefings. Today, you guys, we're going to talk about why the priorities are warped. This is ridiculous. We're mad about the wrong damn thing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's talk about that, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I am not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
All right, you guys. So as I said in the open, the priorities among Black America is warped. Now, it's not to say that Black Americans are the only ones who are getting the handouts from the welfare system. You know, if you're anything like me, you are pro Project 2025. I support this. I'm all for this. I do think that we should be working towards getting Americans back into the workforce. You guys know how I feel. We shouldn't be trying to feminize it. We should be trying to galvanize the American people into taking up their rightful place as dignified American citizens. And Black folk, again, the Great Society Act, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, specifically parts of the Civil Rights Act, were specifically targeting Black Americans from growing. I mean, my goodness. I mean, not only are we depleting in population, but we are depleting in wealth. So the first thing I'm going to do for you guys is show you the clip of American citizens furious over this. Okay, Black Americans furious over the fact that President Trump wants to cut the HUD, the housing, the Section 8, just so we can get people back into doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? So let's go ahead and let's start with that clip first. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about what's really going on, why we should be more offended at the fact that the financial systems are working us into a second slavery. But first, let's start with the clip over people losing their minds over the Section 8 cuts. Let's go ahead and let's run that clip for you guys first, shall we? All right, guys, so this is the clip here. I'm only going to show you a couple of things of it. So it says at the top here, Black people fume over Trump cutting Section 8 housing and rent subsidy for people refusing to work. So let's go ahead and let's run this clip for you guys, shall we?
The Trump administration's 2025 budget proposal aims to slash Section 8 and HUD rental assistance by up to 40%.
Yes.
Shifting the burden to states using block grants.
Yeah, that's right. And what does that mean in the real world?
Yep.
Cities like San Francisco estimate that over 1,900 people could lose their home. Public housing authorities like New York to Phoenix warn of increased evictions, overcrowding, and homelessness.
Yep. And you got Section 8. You're not just slashing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You're slashing lives, futures, kids' access to education, and safety.
Okay.
And this ain't.
Before I let it go on, you guys, let me just say this. Notice they're getting really deep into the emotional side of this. So you're not just cutting the budget, you're hurting people's lives. I'm trying to understand why they're not furious over the fact that this whole policy, the welfare system, was specifically created to destroy Black America. Okay, now it does hurt other groups. We do see that white Americans are suffering in similar ways. You see the numbers meeting the same problems that Black Americans are having at the moment. This was a policy, the Great Society Act, specifically created to harm Black people. Okay, specifically, deliberately created to harm the American people. That's what this was about. Okay, to keep you from claiming your rightful ownership over the land itself. I mean, we're citizens. We're supposed to work hard and get ownership. That's the American dream. The whole idea here was so that way we would keep voting Democrat, that you would not do for self, that you would not care about community. And this policy of the Great Society Act, the welfare state, it destroyed Black Americans. So this whole tribalism with Black America, oh, my people, why aren't we trying to get rid of the policies? You talk about systemic racism. I mean, this policy was literally put in place by a man who hated Black folk, but just wanted your vote, literally just wanted your vote and wanted to destroy you at the same time. And they were successful. So don't sit here and tell me about how this is going to hurt people when this has hurt Black America for generations. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for able-bodied people who could rely on family, depend on community, work together to make something out of themselves. I'm sorry, but I'd rather you be the adult toddler trying to contribute to your home with your family than you relying on the government who doesn't care about you. Let them go on, shall we?
Ain't just a theory. These are real life consequences that will happen once this program has been slashed.
Generations.
So let me get this straight. The guy with gold toilets wants to end Section 8. So the Trump administration is now floating the idea of cutting Section 8.
Yep.
The program that keeps grandma from living in her car, or a mother with children.
What you just said. The policy that keeps grandma from living in her car. Where are her children? Where are her grandchildren? I don't understand. You want the government to come in and take care of your grandmother? What are you doing, woman? Like, are you taking care of your grandmother? Are you taking care of your parents? Like, what are you doing? Don't sit here and tell me that you need the government to come in and do that. I can understand if you're not the family who is in the position to do all of those things. I've seen that myself. I've seen it. I've seen people not able to participate and contribute to saving grandma's home, but you might be able to move her in. You might be able to help pay for her groceries. You might be able to do something. Every little bit counts. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have access to certain resources, right? Because Republicans are not out here trying to eliminate the whole thing. As I said, only 40% of this is trying to get cut here. They're obviously trying to fund the tax cuts, the federal income tax slash. That's the idea. But that if you really want to help grandma, maybe you should be pooling your funds, seeing where you could help her out, move her into your place, move her into your home, see what could happen here. Maybe all of you move into the one place big enough where you guys can take care of each other and take care of grandma. Why do you think back in the 1800s, people had big houses? They had big houses so the whole family could live together because you save money, resources. That's the idea. But you want me to care about your grandmother when you could be doing what you got to do to take care of her. No, not fair for the taxpayer. Yay for Project 25. Let it go on.
Living in a shelter. But wait, billionaires get tax breaks the size of Texas, and that's all cool. But helping people afford a one-bedroom, socialism. This ain't about budget, y'all. It's about punishment. Nothing says make America great again, like making the poor homeless and building more golf courses at Mar-a-Lago. The cherry on top is some of you are actually out here cheering this on.
Heck yeah.
Like you ain't got a voucher in your cousin's name and a P.O. box in your aunt's zip code.
Nope.
Be serious. Should your
Yo, first of all, her condescension is just so annoying. This is the reason why people can't stand black women. That's it right there. That's it right there. Who are you talking to, woman? First off. Secondly, yeah, we're cheering. I'm cheering. Yay for Project 25. I read every page of that bill. And out of everything that I saw, there's only one thing I disagreed with, and that was the death penalty. You guys know I'm pro-life. I'm not for killing the bad guy. However, I'm for everything on that, okay? I'm for getting rid of the IRS. I'm for getting rid of the Department of Education. I'm for getting rid of the welfare state, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all of it. I want all of it gone, okay? They're mad at a moderate right now. He's not the crusader, okay? He's not trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve. I don't even think it's possible to get rid of the income tax. We're going to talk about that in the next episode, you guys. But as it relates to what this woman is saying here, to sit here and get upset because we think that you should take care of your own self, that you should take care of your family, that as families, you should pool your resources together, work together to take care of each other and not rely so heavily on the taxpayer, not rely so heavily on the government, which incentivized bad behavior. Okay. Bad economic policies incentivize bad behavior. That's what you got out of the Great Society Act. That's what you get out of welfare. And you're sitting here saying that we're wrong for wanting you to take care of yourselves. You're mad about the wrong darn thing. You guys, that's enough of this video here because again, there's a whole other part of this that I do want to cover. So I'm going to come out of this, you guys. Let's talk about the next thing, shall we? All right, you guys. So you saw that. You saw these people getting upset over the fact that we want to eliminate Section 8, not even eliminate, but cut some of it, cut some of Section 8, cut some of the fraud, the abuse, the waste, all of it. We want to take care of that because the goal is to work towards getting rid of the federal income tax. That's the idea. And we do have to make these cuts if we're going to obtain that goal. Okay. These are people who want to keep more money in their pockets. They don't like the federal income tax, but they're not prepared to sacrifice their handouts. Okay. You can't have it both ways. You can't have both the handout and get rid of the income tax. It's just not possible. This is how we're going to achieve that goal. We're going to talk about how that gets there in another episode. But as it relates to what they're mad about, I mean, you're mad that you're losing handouts. You're mad that we're telling you you have to go out there and work. Okay. Hopeful heart, willing hand. You can have the green meadows. Okay. You can build the home in the meadow. That's the song. Okay. You work, you get it. That's the idea. And if you don't have, because you're suffering financially, you're the adult toddler, you're recovering after COVID, you've lost your job, you're trying to figure things out for yourself. Totally understand that. But I would much rather you depend on your families and you work together and you pull together resources, intellect, build something to earn. That, in my opinion, I feel is more honorable than you relying on the taxpayer. Why should your neighbor pay for your poor choices? It's not the case. I can understand families pulling together. You're struggling. You're financially struggling. Totally understand that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have no access to certain things because they're not cutting the whole thing. You're mad about them cutting some of it, not all of it. Only 40%. I mean, that may be a bit too much. That might be too much. That may be too little. As somebody who supports Project 25, it's too little for me. I would have got 50, cut 50. Half of it should go. Half of it should go. Personally, I support Project 25, but they're mad about losing handouts, but they're not mad about the fact that you've been living in a system that wants to rob you of whatever opportunities you might get to actually build wealth. You're mad at losing handouts, which only stifle your growth, stifle your opportunity, stifle your dignity and your own, efforts into building your own legacies, your own generational wealth, because you're so concerned about losing handouts. Bad economic policies only encourage bad behavior. That's what you saw with the Great Society Act. Okay. Now, before I go any further with my opinion on what I mean by that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show you guys a video with George Fraser. He's very Black power, if you will, but I actually agree with what he has to say in this video. I thought it was hilarious, and chances are it was funny because it was true. So let me go ahead and show you guys this clip of George Fraser because he was just saying everything that was right. So let's go ahead and let's run that clip for you guys, shall we? All right, guys. So this is the clip here. It says at the top, Dr. George Fraser, how Black people will go into a second slavery. Now, the man has given lectures on this. He's done panel discussions about this. Again, he's very Black power in some cases. He doesn't hate on white folk. In fact, he really does love them, right? I actually appreciate that from him. But this is just a 2-minute clip. It's not the full interview. If I can find it, I'll put it in the description. But I will link this whole video in the description box for you guys because I thought it was great. So let's go ahead and let's run it.
You cannot be Black and proud and niggas too. Okay, that white folks are planning for 3 generations and we're planning for Saturday night, right? Because the whole, brothers and sisters, is to win, not to look like we're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You ain't.
I'm going to leave it there just for a second, just so I could say, right? What did he say? You cannot be Black and proud and niggas too. Excuse my language. Right. But what do we got out here? This Black power, we N-words. We don't like it when white folks say the N-word, even though it's a soft A and not a hard R. We don't like it. You're mad at losing Section 8, but you're not mad that you are buying yourself into a second slavery. Okay. You cannot be Black and proud and niggas too. You want to go out there and be the greatest consumers out of all the racial groups in America. And then you're wondering where all your money is going. You put yourself further and further into the hole of debt. And then you're wondering what happened to all my money? Where did I go wrong? What's happening? You're mad about the wrong damn things. That's what's happening. Let them go on.
Louis Vuitton winning, Nike is winning, Gucci is winning, Armani is winning. You ain't winning. We are the consumption class. They are the merchant class. They make stuff, we buy stuff. It is interesting to me that the rich stay rich by pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor by pretending to be rich. Right?
Tough.
We got the shit ass backwards.
I love this clip.
Nothing changes. And all the statistics tell us this. The Institute of Policy Studies, April 2017, the economic state of Black America said, and I give you the final quote from that 300-page study, which no Negro read. This said that by 2053, 10 years after the majority becomes the minority, if nothing changes among African Americans, household median wealth will be zero. Zero.
Yep.
In effect, we will have worked our way into a second slavery. Try to operate in a market-based economy and a democratic capitalistic society without money.
Yep. Now, that's all I'm going to have it say. You guys, I'll put the link to this clip in the description box. What did he just say? By 2053, if nothing changes with Black America, you will have zero capital, zero power, zero income. Okay. But to what he's saying, okay, you cannot be black and proud and niggas too. That we are the consumption class, where white America are the merchant class. We are the greatest consumers on the face of the earth when you're talking about the American consumer. And black Americans, we consume more than any other group in America. What does that tell you? Now, President Trump was able to use this as leverage for tariff negotiations. But for black folk, we just buy. We don't actually utilize this as a way of putting ourselves in a much better financial position. If we do not make these changes by 2053, we would have worked ourselves into a second slavery, because we are more preoccupied with having a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it, as opposed to walking around with a plastic bag with $10,000 in it. We get our value. And I've said this multiple times in previous episodes, you guys, financially speaking, when it comes to Black America, okay, our respect from the rest of the community doesn't come from being Christians and good, honorable, decent people. It does not come from having a good character, okay? Our value as Black Americans, when we're talking about the community, you only get the respect if, and I do mean this, like seriously, you only get the respect if you have the degree, if you have the money, if you have the good job, if you look like you have the money. We will put ourselves into debt to look the part, okay? Looking rich will have you real broke. White Americans, they don't care about you, okay? They don't care. And that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing, okay? They're not thinking about you. Black folk are thinking about everybody else, but they're not thinking about themselves. We kill each other from abortions and the murder. You see all of these numbers. We're not growing our wealth. We're putting ourselves further and further into debt. We are not reproducing enough. So we are a dying community. That's what's happening here. And I've said that to somebody, and they were saying how offensive that was to say that Black America is dying. Well, if our population has gone from 13% to 11% and we have more debt than we have assets, what do you think that means? We are over leveraged across, I don't know how many things of debt, from student loans to car loans to mortgages that we can't afford to pay back to credit cards. Okay. We're killing each other, from our babies to our neighbors. And we're supposed to think that we're winning here. If the behavior does not change, we will have nothing. You will own nothing and be miserable. Okay. Not even own nothing and be happy. You will own nothing and be miserable. I'm going to sum everything up and come out of this, you guys. All right, guys. So you saw that. You saw Black Americans furious that they were losing the Section 8, that they were losing 40% of the handouts that were deliberately created to destroy the community, which has happened. Okay. That's happened. But they are not upset at the fact that they have been convinced to be the biggest consumers out of the country, to purchase themselves into a second slavery. We would have worked and bought ourselves into chains, financial enslavement, because you got to have the car you can't afford. You got to have the degree that you can't even get a job with. You got to have the nice hair and the nice clothes that you can't afford. No, you got to go to Lululemon and spend on a credit card, twerking in the store, okay, pissed that people are judging you off of your behavior while financially enslaved. But that's not what you're mad at. You're not mad at that. You're mad that you're losing the handout. I mean, priorities, people. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I agree wholeheartedly with George Fraser. We are working and buying ourselves into a second slavery, that if things do not change, Black America is going to cease to exist. And whose fault is that? I have an issue that white America is working its way, is slowly but surely going to become a minority. Why? Because we're going to let immigrants in. We're going to let immigrants take the jobs, between illegal immigration, which Trump's got a lock on, and legal immigration. I got an issue with that. If you're not one of the OG races becoming the majority, I got an issue with that. This country was Black, white, and Native at its founding. Sorry. Yeah. One of these three got to be the top. One of them. If it's not going to be whites, it's going to be Natives. It's not going to be Natives. It's going to be Blacks. But the way we are headed, you guys, that's not the situation. Back in the 60s, before the Great Society Act, we were trending to be the majority population and the most successful financially. And then the Great Society Act comes out and we've killed ourselves down to 11% of the population. We don't reproduce and we kill ourselves. And we've been purchasing ourselves into debt. We take on more debt than we actually have ownership. The American dream is ownership, to own the home, possibly to own the business, right? That's the idea. The goal is ownership. The goal is wealth and ownership, creating legacy, long-lasting legacy, generational wealth, all the cliches you've been hearing from your Black financial commentators all over YouTube. Fix your credit so you can engage with a thing that was built to destroy you. Are you serious? You're mad that the America First agenda wants to help you reclaim your rightful place as the second largest population in society? We're not even that anymore. Hispanics are outweighing us. Now, I am a Black Hispanic, so either way you look at it, I'm still the second majority. Side note. But I think that's kind of the problem here. I think you're going to be amazing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this administration saying, I believe you can. Stop saying you can't. There is nothing racist about this. There is nothing wrong with this. This is an administration that says, I believe you can. Now go out here and act like you believe in yourself. You guys get in the comment sections and let me know what you think about this. Am I just wrong, or are Black Americans just kind of obsessing over the wrong thing? Stop being upset over the handouts. Be more excited about what you can do for yourself and your families. I think you can do it. I think these people can do it. This is not a bad thing. You guys in the comment sections, and I will talk to you later. Love you guys. God bless, and Kepla.